Hello and welcome back to Cheetah TV. My name is Brian Badger and I want to wish you all a very happy International Cheetah Day. For our final instalment today, we go out to Somaliland, where we join the founder and the executive director of the Cheetah Conservation Fund, Dr. Laurie Marker. So hi Laurie, so you're on your trip and you're back in Somaliland. So how was your trip out there?
Well, good. I left here in March and had no idea that the world was going to close down due to COVID. So have only been able to, meet our staff via WhatsApp or Zoom, and getting here and meeting everybody has been great. And then seeing all the new animals that have been in and out of here as well. Whew, we've had just in the last 2 months another 30 cubs about come in. So we've got them from little itty bitties, bunches of them. So we got cheetahs coming out our ears. We fortunately have rebuilt Safe House 1. Safe House 2 is full. Safe House 1 now is full. And we're finishing Safe House 3. So we have been very, very busy here. It's been incredible. You'd just be amazed, Brian.
Because I was out there, it's a year ago now, which is incredible that how time has gone. And I was helping with the building of Safe House 2. Now, a lot of people have asked me about Safe House 2. How is that working?
It's working great. As I said, it is now full. We've got one camp actually up at the quarantine side that is empty. Right next to it is 5 cubs, so it's ready for another set of cubs. Beyond that, it's doing very well. So all the cubs that were in Safe House 1 a year ago have all moved over to Safe House 2. They've got large compounds. Everybody's happy. I think all the cheetahs are very happy. Staff is split up, working with different groups of animals. So it's working well. We're very, very pleased at how it's turned out.
So you mentioned the staff and the team out there. Again, since I was out there, the staff has increased. There's no surprise with the amount of that amount of cheetahs coming in. Can you tell us a little bit about the structure of the staff that's there now?
Sure. Well, nobody's here actually who were here when you were here, except I think Hamza, who is in the house helping take care of the staff, and Farah, who actually works down in the compounds helping grind the meat and keep all the facilities clean. And then Hamza, who was a driver. I think you might have met him. He was helping drive at that point in time. He's taken on sort of the responsibility of or assistant project manager. A young man named Joe is our project manager here, and he comes from a background, from a British zoo background. He's had over 10 years working with large cats, and comes from a background very similar to mine and yours, I think, where we are well trained and knowing what's needed for the big cats. Has worked with cheetahs before as well, which is great. So he's managing everybody from the veterinary crew. We have a young man named Mahesh, who is a graduate from the Bristol Veterinary School. And he's been working not only in South Africa before, he's done a lot of work in Thailand with elephants. Of course, private practice also in the UK, and he's great, wonderful young vet as the senior role here. A young woman vet named Laura, who is a recent graduate from Edinburgh University. So she's actually helping take care of the young cubs, helping in the veterinary clinic, assisting Mahesh and everything. Obviously, Mahesh is the senior vet in overall care. We have another senior keeper, lady named Johanna, and she comes from a long background actually from Spain. And she was working with the Iberian lynx for about 10 years. And that's a project that is near and dear to my heart, where the Iberian lynx are one of the most endangered. They are the most endangered of all the cats. They are a small lynx from Spain. And so she was actually at the rehab center. So she was helping breed and rehab these cats back out into the wild. So she brings a lot of experience to take care of the young cubs. And also a great keeper to take care of some of the older cats as well. Then we have a young man named Cheetah, and he worked actually with Joe at their last facilities over actually in the UAE. And he's from Uganda, and he's an educator. Prior to being an educator there, he was an educator at the Uganda Wildlife Center. And he's just amazing. He not only is doing great education programs, we came from an education program today, and he just blew these kids away. And but he's also a backup to help in the butchery, helping feed and care for the cheetahs, because he worked again with Joe for a couple years prior. So a great team, and I think that's pretty much. We've got a young vet from Somaliland who's here for a couple days a week and assisting everybody. He's learning everything. He also went on our education program with us today, so he's going to not only help in vet care, but also in education. And we also have a young vet student who's just arrived, and she's from the Czech Republic. And we work very closely with the Veterinarians Without Borders from both Czech and Romania areas. So she's following along in the last couple years of vet students that have assisted with us. And her name is Linda. And she's now learning directly from Johanna and taking care of the cubs that Johanna's taking care of. So it's just an amazing team of people working hard. I mean, just from 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning until 10 o'clock at night. I mean, everybody's going hard and full speed.
Yeah, when we talk about the illegal wildlife trade, initially a lot of it is a reactive process. You're reacting to all these cubs, but you mentioned the education program that's being developed there. That kind of flips it and makes it proactive, to help stop these things. How is that that program being received in Somaliland now?
Well, we just have done our second education program. So the first one was just about a week and a half ago. I was not here, but our team together, we've been having weekly Zoom calls and putting our materials together. This has gone on for the last couple months. And then developing what our messaging is and how it's going to be looked at from the Somaliland side. Right now, we're just going to English-speaking schools. And so today we were at the British Islamic school, primary school, and the kids were just wonderful. These kids are all diaspora. They've come back from primarily, I think, Britain or other parts of the world where they were, primarily they're English speaking, and they are quite smart kids. Our education programs, we're gearing it for 7th to 10th graders. The kids we were with today were 8th, 9th, and 10th, and they were just excited. We, obviously gear the program for them and their knowledge, and Cater is a, born educator. Just the way he's able to gear kids up and get them excited about things. So the principal was amazing. He has been out of the country for a number of years and came back, and he's built this school. And I was impressed to also meet him, and we are going to work much more closely with them. What we're doing is actually gearing up for International Cheetah Day. So we've asked the schools that we're working with, we've got about 4 that we'll be working with, to do some art competition. So we're going to be working at the Cultural Center on the 3rd of December, even though International Cheetah Day is the 4th of December. But the 3rd of December is the day before their holiday, which is a Friday. And so we're getting ready for that. So we're going to have an art competition. So these kids are all ready to put their artwork forward about cheetahs and the ecosystem. So that's sort of where we're at right now, and we're hoping within the next year I really start growing this. Um, Aman, who's our Somali young veterinarian, who's also helping in education. He used to be a teacher, and he also wound them up, and was talking about save the cheetah, and how he was just wonderful. He says the cheetah was his spirit animal when he was growing up. As many of the kids we know in the world all pick an animal that they think is really special, and the cheetah was his special animal. So he's able to translate back over into Somali as well. So we're starting to grow it from not only English, but also back into Somali.
That's great, because it's nice to hear the positivity, because a lot of the trade is very sad, and it's tragic sometimes. But to be that proactive and to get that positivity back from the young, to maybe instigate the change for the future, that's quite something. Now, we spoke about House One.
Let me just,
Yes, please.
Brian, let me just mention about that, because the kids had no idea that what wildlife is in the country. Many of them are Hargeisa city-based, where out of a population of about 3 million, Hargeisa has about 1 million people. So that's the majority, that's a third of the population here. But they don't know any of the wildlife. This country has been, in the past, 30 years ago, fought an independence war, and they're still, very, very underdeveloped. And nobody knew that there were cheetahs, and the wildlife that once was pushed out because of these wars. And the kids were just excited, saying, we want to see wildlife back in our country. And our message really is that our wildlife is actually part of our culture and our heritage. And we want to try to get people to understand that, know what's here, know what used to be here, and that we can actually help bring it back.
Yeah, and you mentioned the young man from Uganda, and I've got quite strong links with the Ugandan Wildlife Education Centre that he worked with, and I'm sure that the experience there, because it was similar in some sort of ways, where people were dispersed and in encampments, and then when they started to be repatriated, it was almost like to a new country. They didn't know what's around them, because it was inherent to them. They was taught, if they saw a snake, then hit it with a stick. So the re-education of the community, I think, is so important. And you've got the proven track record of Uganda where it works, and it does. Right. So I'm sure that's a great asset. Now, when you was talking about, we spoke about Safe House 1 and the redevelopment of Safe House 2, and then the redevelopment of Safe House 1, and now the Safe House 3 is unfortunately needed, but we can't just sit here and be sad. We need to act. We need to do this. We need to buy time, really. So how's the development of Safe House 3 going?
Well, we've only been at it for a month and a half. It's due to be finished in the next week. I was over there today. It's almost completed. It's pretty amazing. Larger compounds, a facility 3/4 of the size about of Safe House 2. And from that, again, we're buying time. We're getting an area to put animals, because the next stage is to do the sanctuary. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been up into Gedebli, we're in Gedebli, and this is the area that we're now looking at with the potential of maybe setting up our base here. So we are approximately 5 Ks, I think, from the southern border. On the other side of the river over here, we are in a river's fork, is a town called Gedebli, and that's where the main water source is for the country. So this used to be a livestock camp, I guess, when the British were here, and it's been here since 1952. They're broken down buildings, the ruins, I'm not sure. They just brought us here thinking that this might be a place to start. I'm not sure if it is or not, but we're going to check this out today, actually, with a drone, and we're going to check out whether we're going to be able to see what it looks like on the other side of the ruins. We were actually doing some drone footage so we could see from above what it looks like, what the land looks like. We were able to see some dik-dik up there. We saw gerenuk, some different bird species. So it was really some warthogs, actually. It was very interesting. And starting to get our head around where we might want to start our development. I mean, where you start with an empty piece of ground, you know, we need to look at it's near big rivers, getting across those rivers during the rainy time. We've got to bring large amounts of meat in because we're feeding large numbers of animals. And then how you bring resources in to start building this kind of a facility. Things were at least this actually used to be a old facility developed by the British government back in 1952. So there's old ruins up there, a couple old buildings. We might be able to use them. They might just be there as historic pieces of what that land once was. But Debley is actually where the main water source for the city of Hargeisa is. So there is huge, big dry rivers that when it does rain, they do flood. And so we need to start looking at what that will look like. So that'll be a little bit different. We're going to have to probably put some cement bridges in. And then, yeah, how do you start building along that line when you're an hour and a half outside of town? So those are the things that we're starting to talk about. Logistics, making a master plan. But we will be starting to lay this out and build by early next year.
I mean, that's great because when we, you know, I mean, I know CCF quite well, and but obviously not as well as you. But when we look at CCF and we look at our work, you know, if we take outside of Somaliland, you know, it's incredibly holistic. The whole basis of the organization is holistic conservation, and I think this next step kind of moves into the realm where what we are more. And a lot of people, I think that they don't understand the value of the national park. Would you see the national that development? You know, I know it's early stages, but as almost like a showcase for the wildlife of the country.
Well, absolutely. There are no national parks in the country as of yet, and so this would be the first. And from that, it would be a showcase because it's close to the main capital. So an hour and a half away, people could come out more easily. And then from that, again, we've been working with African parks. And of course, this is a long process. Nothing's going to be done quickly. But to look at not only Debley, but what some of the other national parks might be able to look at. And this is a partnership with the government, and this is all new. The government has been looking at, you know, taking care of their people, trying to have security. You know, that's why they fought a civil war, I guess I would say, 30 years ago, to have peace in their country. Somaliland is a democratic country, and they want to have peace and stability. And then from that, to think about the next stages. And the environment is very, very important, but they don't know it yet. But obviously, the Minister of Environment and Rural Development does, and her ministry is trying to plant the seeds. And so in the last couple of weeks, we've met with a variety of the other ministries, from information to that of the Attorney General, to talk about the illegal wildlife trade, to the Ministry of Livestock, which deals with all the veterinarians and all the health of the livestock there, which the livestock is a very much important part of their national product. That's what they actually are selling for their livelihoods, but it's not commercialized. It is more pastoral. And so we're talking about the kind of things that we do in Namibia, future farmers of Africa, working together to try to have healthier animals, looking at their rangelands, looking at where the wildlife is. They don't know. And we want to know because that's where the cheetahs are going to be. And if there's cheetahs and the livestock's not protected, then you end up with that conflict where then the rural pastoral farmers can go out and kill the cheetahs or the leopards, and or then they will catch the cubs, and then they figure, well, I can sell those cubs because that cheetah killed my livestock and I need to get some money back for it. So this awareness is what we're starting to learn more about and how to start combating that. So I think Debly laying this program out over the next couple of years is going to be key to the environment and the wildlife within the country in the years to come.
Now, so CCF is 30 years old now, and I've worked in both Somaliland and Namibia, and hugely different setups, hugely different places. But I mean, nobody's been through the process like you have. Do you see similarities of the development of Namibia 30 years ago to the development of Somaliland now?
Sure, absolutely. I mean, both countries going through independence. However, Namibia had quite a vision going forward, and actually a lot of international development support. And that vision was actually to support the environment that would support the rural communities. And we were able to get in Namibia at independence and have been able to help work with the government to help develop these environmental programs. And our program has been the cheetah's role in the ecosystem, and then also working with the farming communities to develop those programs. So Somaliland has, what I always say is we develop these programs in Namibia so we could also test them and see what was going to work, and then put these programs into place in other countries. So instead of starting from ground zero here in Somaliland, we have a lot that we can offer. And so we don't have to go slow. We actually can go faster. And as you know, we always are at cheetah speed, Brian. But with that, we know a lot. Obviously, there's a lot of adaptations of our programs for the needs of the people here. And with that, we are starting to do needs assessments. And those start with doing questionnaire surveys, finding out what the people think, what they know, what their problems are, what they need. And then from that, we look at what those needs are, as we look at what the needs are for the wildlife. And then from that, to work together to see if there are ways that we can develop programs, use and adapt the programs that we already have, so that we don't have to start from ground zero. I mean, you don't want to rebuild those wheels. We want to try to adapt and put into place some of these programs, and then try to find the right partners. And so there's a lot of people on the ground here already. So we're now talking with a variety of different NGOs that are on the ground to find ones that are going to be our best partners, so that we don't have to go out and do all the work. We also want to train, put our programs into these other programs that are also working, and have many of these people who are working with communities or rural development that have them now start looking at the environment and the needs of wildlife. We are the experts, and we can help them learn and adapt quickly, but they're the experts oftentimes many of them have worked here in Somaliland for a number of years. And so that's what we're looking at, is strong partnerships.
Yeah, we've spoken about the importance of collaborations, and it's in at so many different levels. And I know we spoke to Shira, who's the illegal wildlife trade lead, and she mentioned the collaboration in the region. So you're talking about Ethiopia and Yemen and Somalia, Somaliland. So you're not just talking within the borders. It's a regional collaboration as well. Is that correct?
Very much so. And we put those 4 countries actually together because that's really where the trade is going on for the cheetah. So we do work very closely with the Ethiopians. And actually, Shira and myself and Joe, who's our project manager here, are joining together at the border of Somaliland and Ethiopia in a couple days for a Somaliland-Ethiopia border summit that in the last couple of months, well, since I've been coming and going now for the last month or so, we've had a number of cheetahs that have been confiscated, close to 30 at this point in the last 2 months. And I said, something's got to be done. And with our partnership in Ethiopia, we talked together and we talked about bringing together within the Somali region a summit. And so in the next couple days, we are actually bringing together multiple ministries and team members from the law enforcement to the Ministry of Livestock on both sides, to the Ministry of Environment, to meet together to talk about this shared problem that we have on the border between that of Ethiopia and Somaliland. A lot of the cats are coming from Ethiopia. Ethiopia knows that. The Somaliland officials are confiscating them. Sadly, we have them now in our safe houses. They're not in the wild anymore. What we want to do is to try to keep them obviously in the wild. We don't want them in captivity. That's totally against everything that we have been trying to do. You know, our motto is keeping cheetahs free and in the wild. So this border meeting, I think, is going to be very, very important. It's a first start. Of course, we've been working for almost a year or so with the support of the British government through a program called Licit, which is dealing with the illegal trade and working together with these 4 countries. And from that, this is a next stage within the Licit program. So from that, within Licit, we've been looking at the laws, we've been looking at how to strengthen these laws, and also how to work together with strengthening the law enforcement side. But with that, that also means looking at the awareness programs. So we're going to talk about awareness within the communities and how to do this together between 2 countries. And I think that that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, I know drawing from, you know, the CCF's experience in Namibia, just as an example, when you're working with the communities there, whether it's the communal lands and anything, I think it takes quite a long time to build a trust, you know, a mutual trust, and also gain credibility, you know, because over the years, so many people have just think that it's a quick fix and gone out there. Do you feel that the that trust and credibility is increased? Is it strengthened in the last couple of years?
Oh, absolutely, I would say, especially within the ministries that we're working with. And obviously the governments have started learning a lot more about us. We've also tried to highlight this and bring it more awareness through, you know, programs like CNN or NBC. And just the last couple days now, we've had the France 24 TV station here with us. That's another group that's going to help highlight these issues. And we're working right now with National Geographic, where they're doing a story, which is going to come out in another year on this. So keep your eyes out, everybody, because these awareness programs, these TV programs are bringing a lot more awareness. The countries are getting the awareness and support that they need to continue getting the support and the work forward. Their governments are getting the recognition that they're doing the job, and the world is recognizing them. And we are helping with that. And, you know, and that is very, very important, I believe.
And of course, I mean, you've got Cheetah TV. I mean, what's bigger than Cheetah TV?
Well, of course, you're telling all the stories too. When Cheetah TV is growing, we want people more to know. The cheetah's got a voice. The cheetah needs a voice. The cheetah needs people to be aware and caring. And you know perfectly well, but I need everyone to know that there are, you know, less than 7,500 cheetahs left in the world. And although I've been doing this, you know, such a long period of time, we're losing cheetahs every single day. And that to me is just devastating. I've watched in my lifetime the cheetah population go from 35,000 down to, you know, less than 7,500. As our world population continues to grow, our African populations grow, we've got less habitat, less wildlife. And the only way we can change that is by continuing working very hard at what we're doing. And that takes resources. It takes it takes funding, and our Cheetah Conservation Fund friends are helping us. You're bringing in the funds so that we can put our programs in action and save cheetahs and grow these programs so that we can grow the cheetah population. The numbers we're at right now are not enough. We have to stop the catching of every single cheetah that is being caught. We have to stop that. We need to grow those populations. We need to stop illegal wildlife trade. We have to stop rural farmers from killing and catching cheetahs. And we can help do that. We are a strong force. We need to get stronger. We need more of us. And we will with all of your help.
And I think it's important to bring up, if this can be done, you know, this isn't just a pointless task. This isn't, you know, if everybody pulls together and everybody supports, you know, we can do it. There's no doubt whatsoever that it can be done, but we can't do it alone. You know, that exactly. No. Just said, you know, it's everybody. You know, it's not just government departments. It's not just CCF. You know, it's as much about your you know, your cookie sales, the events in the US, in the UK. Everyone's kind of chipping in, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the only way that we're going to succeed, is by everybody collaborating. So it's not just the local collaborations, it's a global collaboration that everybody pulls together. And we won't just save the cheetah. You know, it's saving the ecosystem and everything else that goes in it. So I think that's, I know we've said this to death, but, you know, it's worth bringing up again that the ecosystem, you know, there's one thing in there that we sometimes ignore, and that's people as well. So we're not just saving cheetahs, the animals that live in this ecosystem, we're also saving people as well, and their livelihoods. So it's really important. So but Laurie, it's been great talking to you and getting the updates from Somaliland, and as always, we're incredibly grateful of your commitment, and we'll do everything that we can to support you, to support the team in Somaliland and Namibia and throughout the cheetah range countries, so we can save the cheetah, we can save its ecosystem, and together we can do it. So Laurie, thank you ever so much, and hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon.
Great. Bye everybody, and I know you're going to start meeting many more of our staff here in Somaliland as well. And I'll see you back in Namibia in a couple weeks.
Great. Cheers, Laurie. Thank you. It was great to hear from Laurie from Somaliland and hear about all the updates that are happening as we speak up there at the moment. So don't forget, if you want more information, you can visit our website at cheetah.org. And for notifications of upcoming video projects and Cheetah TV, give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks very much for joining us, and a very happy International Cheetah Day to you all.